Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Danon. I'm currently reading over 600 manga and light novels, and my two favorite genres are fantasy and romance. So on this channel, we talk a lot about both of those genres, but we tend to look more into story structure and tropes rather than how cool the fight scenes are or how great the animation or artwork is. Which brings me to the subject of today's video, Top 10 Adult Romance Manga Without an Adaptation. Before we get started, I'd like to quickly ask you to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel and it's free. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Just for clarity's sake, I'm not talking adult romance. I'm talking romance involving adults. Perhaps to avoid confusion, I should call them office romances. Regardless, these are romance manga where the characters aren't in high school. The reason for this video is twofold. First of all, when I set out to do a top 10 list, I struggled getting the list under 30. I went through every manga that I'm reading where romance is the focus, cut out the ones that have an adaptation, either an anime or a live action, and then started whittling away the mediocre ones or the ones that were just merely good. I only wanted to talk about great series, and I was finally able to get the list down from over 120 to just shy of 30. But I was still struggling. And then, inspiration hit. I would split the list into adult and teen romances. I've already done the teen video, so this one will be the one about adults. The second reason for this video is that one of these series that I'm about to talk about releases tomorrow. To find out which one, you'll have to watch the video. Or you could cheat and click on the link down below to order yourself a copy from Amazon. But every series you can order off of Amazon will have a link below. One more thing before we get started. To be on this list, I need to have read the series. So if I'm missing one that you feel should be on the list, let me know in the comments down below. Without further ado, let's talk about our honorable mentions. You Like Me, Not My Daughter is the subject of the single most popular video on this channel. I adore this manga, but since recording that video, I've come across several other romance manga that I enjoy even more. For those who don't know, the story is about Ayako, who, shortly after graduating college and landing a job in her chosen field, attended her sister and brother-in-law's funeral. After watching the other adults bicker over who should take care of her orphan niece, Ayako angrily stated that she would take care of her adorable niece and raise her as her own daughter. After all, Ayako has a new place and she's lonely. So Ayako and Miyu move in together. Ayako is in her early 20s and Miyu is 5. Of course, there's a neighbor boy, Takumi, who is 10 years old when Miyu moves in with Ayako. Takumi soon falls in love with Ayako, but Ayako thinks he's got a crush on Miyu. Miyu, of course, knows better. One day, years later, after becoming an adult, Takumi finally confesses. Ayako doesn't know what to do. Wait a minute, you like me, not my daughter? Yes, I know, it's the title of the series after all. A very cute age gap rom-com about the boy next door being in love with an older woman. My Wife is a Little Scary started out as an online doujin but was soon picked up and published. Shimizu joined a fashion company as a junior editor and fell in love with his boss, Natsuna. She was a hard worker, strict with everyone, but most especially herself. Shimizu awkwardly confessed to her and proposed a little while later. He is intimidated by his wife and doesn't feel worthy of her. This leads to performance issues in the bedroom. After all, a marriage should be between equals. But every day, the house is immaculate, the food is perfect, laundry is always done to perfection, and his wife is so perfect that he can't help but feel inferior. One day, he comes home from work early to find his wife making a huge mess in the kitchen. Wait, honey, are you bad at cooking? I'm great at cooking, if you give me 5 hours. Shimizu discovers that his wife is actually bad at everything, but working hard to cover it. She didn't know how to clean, do laundry, or cook. She regularly reads guides and watches tutorial videos on how to do everything. Seeing his wife as a vulnerable human who's just trying hard for her husband helps him overcome his other issues, and the two of them skip out on dinner and engage in some much-needed relief. My New Wife is Forcing Herself to Smile is a period piece about a young samurai and his new wife. He's worried that his wife doesn't love him. After all, she was forced into this marriage, and what woman would want to be married to a poor samurai like him? So our young samurai is happy that he has a beautiful wife, but he doesn't force himself on her. She's always wearing that forced smile, and he doesn't want to make her mad. Of course, the real reason our young bride is wearing a forced smile is so that she doesn't ahegao drool over how hot her husband is. He's handsome, strong, kind, and honorable. What more could a young bride want? But I mustn't let anyone see my face looking like that. It would be shameful. This is a very cute comedy about an arranged marriage between two people head over heels for each other, but they don't know how to express their feelings. Now, with the honorable mentions out of the way, let's discuss the top 10. Masato-san is a bit cold towards her boss who pampers, is about a woman who is no nonsense. Mistakes are meant to be corrected, but if you make the same mistake twice, it was a choice, and you should be reprimanded. Harshly. She is ruthless towards both her coworkers and her boss, who is too soft on everyone. If only her boss weren't so soft. And he should take better care of himself and not just eat convenience store bentos. Masato drags him to a nearby restaurant with reasonably priced beef bowls. She also insists on treating him. On their way back to the office, her boss, Kaneshikawa, stops in a convenience store to get a drink. Of course, while in there, Masato gets hit on. She tries ignoring the ruffians, but they start to get aggressive. She is saved by Kaneshikawa. While thanking him, he waves her off and hands her some chocolate as a way of thanking her for lunch. Included in the chocolate is a 1,000 yen bill, about $10, and a note explaining that he felt bad about having a subordinate treat him. This brings up a memory of Masato's, recalling the time that she was a new worker at her company, and she had made a serious mistake. She apologized to Kaneshikawa, as the mistake was entirely her fault, and the company could wind up losing a lot of money due to her mistake. Kaneshikawa isn't fazed. He suggests traveling to the client together so they can apologize together. After all, he also bears some of the responsibility as her manager. Masato reflects on how Kaneshikawa hasn't changed a bit since she first met him. He's just too soft. But he's also very kind. Which is why Masato is actually in love with Kaneshikawa. If only she knew how to tell him. But what caused Kaneshikawa to be so soft and kind? Why does he spoil his subordinates? And why is such a nice person single? If you want to find out, you'll have to read it yourself. Awkward Senpai is an adorable series about an office worker who doesn't know how to interact with people. She comes off as brusque and at times outright rude. But her new kohai that she is mentoring sees through her facade, and the two eventually become friends. Or maybe more than friends? But she has a long way to go before that happens. After all, her idea of a proper greeting is to tell her kohai to move out of the way. The two have some wacky shenanigans, and this series reminds me a lot of My Senpai is Annoying. The characters are vastly different, of course, but the series has that same feel of just a cute, soft office romance. More Than Lovers, Less Than Friends is about a woman who failed to get into acting when she moved to Tokyo, and has instead moved back home with her mother. Her mother wants her to hurry up and get married, so she agrees to a marriage meeting. And who should she meet? Her old film partner. You see, Miyako actually did get into acting, but not the type of films she dreamed of as a child. Yes, she became an adult video star, and her partner was none other than the person in front of her. So, not a big deal, they know about each other's secret. The problem is, both of them adopted stage personas while filming. Miyako usually played a soft, quiet schoolgirl type, and Masaki likes that type of girl. In reality, Miyako is loud, opinionated, and rough around the edges. Instead of showing up to her marriage meeting in a kimono that her mother picked out for her, she showed up in sweats and Crocs. Of course, Masaki is completely different from his adult film star persona. He was tanned with dreadlocks and piercings. A rough guy who was exactly the type of person that Miyako would go for. They both agree that this will never work, but Miyako suggests that the two of them agree to be engaged. Or at least pretend to. That way, their respective mothers won't bother them about this again. Miyako's mom is shocked. Well, look how compatible the two of you are. Well, yeah, they had great on-screen chemistry, if you know what I mean. Daily Reports About My Witch Senpai was a manga that came to a close but then got a continuance. I'm not sure the reason why, but I adore this series, so I'm happy that it's still going. I don't think it was cancelled, as the manga had come to a satisfying conclusion. Anyway, the story is about an office lady who is also a witch and her new kohai who falls in love with her. At first, he thinks she's being mistreated and wants to protect her from bullying. Then he finds out that her biggest bully is her boyfriend. Eventually, the witch starts to develop feelings for her kohai as well. This is a very soft and very cute series with beautiful artwork, and is somewhat reminiscent of old Ghibli movies. Not in style, of course, but in feel. Marokera Madoka-chan, or Madoka from the Window, is about a man whose only joy in life is walking by a woman's window. Every day, she's doing something crazy. One morning, she was fishing in her apartment. That night, she had opened up a sashimi restaurant. Another day, she has an arcade. Our main character has no idea why she's doing this, but every day he is given the courage to carry on because of her. And unlike a lot of the rest of the manga on this list, this one is complete. I take that back. Kajimi-san and Yamada-san is also complete. Kajimi and Yamada both work for the same company. Kajimi can hear people's thoughts. Yamada's inner thoughts are loud. Also, she's adorable. Kajimi quickly falls in love with her, especially after learning that Yamada is already crushing on him. But you shouldn't keep secrets from someone you want to spend the rest of your life with. So what should he do? 5 Minutes with You at a Convenience Store is an age gap romance about a boy working in a convenience store and the office lady who stops by on her way home from work. Right now, they're kind of almost crushing on each other, but we're not quite to a romantic stage yet. The absolute best part about this series is that both of our love interests have chapters dedicated to them. For example, the first chapter is from Shibasaki's perspective. He sees a very cute and very short customer trying to get a drink from the top shelf. He grabs it for her, and she calls him Taku. Of course, this short-circuits his brain, as he has no idea what Taku means. But then we see her go home, and she sees her cat, Taku. And Taku's eyes look exactly like Shibasaki's. They both have that squinting glare. The next chapter, our adorable little office lady is picking out cat food, and she asks Shibasaki which flavor he thinks would be better. Without missing a beat, he chooses one. She buys it, and then he reprimands himself because he couldn't bring himself to ask her if she wanted chopsticks with her food. Chapter 3 is that same scene, but from her perspective. We find out that the reason she was struggling to pick out the cat food was because there was a prize. Of course, her cat, Taku, didn't appreciate it one bit. Kono Kashai ni Suki na Hito ga imasu, or Can You Keep a Secret? The person I like works at the same company, is about two people secretly dating. When they started, they hated each other. But then, one night at a company retreat, the two of them found themselves alone and a little drunk. They opened up to each other, found out they had a lot in common, and started dating. But in order to avoid drama at the office, they have to keep it a secret. This is a great series about two adults supporting each other from the shadows. They really love each other and dedicate a lot of time ensuring the other person is happy. Because that's what it takes in a relationship. Both people wanting to make sure their partner is happy. As Chris Rock said, 2 people can move a couch real easy. And as long as you're supporting each other and celebrating each other's wins, you'll be fine. Minpo Kaisei Nihon wa Ippanatsu ni Nata is another completed manga. Before I get into it, a quick note. I promise it will all make sense. I made a discovery recently. The reason most harem series are shonen is because none of the characters are real, fleshed-out people. They're all tropes. The tsundere, the ojo-sama, the kudere, the dandere, the yandere. All of these characters are not fully fleshed out. They are caricatures rather than characters. And none of the girls become a fully realized person until one of them is picked out. She then evolves from a girl into the girl and is now human. Hooray! But you don't have tropey characters in seinen. Seinen readers demand realistic people with realistic motivations. I want you to keep all that in mind as I explain this series. Oh, by the way, the translated title is Amended Civil Code, Japan Becomes a Polygamous Marriage System. Certain individuals are granted the right to take multiple wives, but no more than 3. All people involved must consent. There are 2 types of people who can qualify. Those with wealth enough to support multiple wives, and those deemed worthy through their deeds and actions. Scientists who have advanced our understanding of the universe, award-winning authors, tournament-winning athletes, these are the type of people who can have 3 wives. In the first chapter, Asao Sohei attends a polygamous wedding with his girlfriend, Makimura Michiru. His friend, the heir apparent to a private hospital, is marrying 3 women at the same time. Sohei and Michiru discuss their feelings on the law. Generally, Sohei is for it. Because of the influx of wealthy people moving to Japan so they can have multiple wives, the economy has risen 10% in the last year. However, Michiru is against it. The idea of having to share a man just seems absurd to her. A few days later, Sohei has to attend a 2-week business conference in Hokkaido. And, just his luck, the plane crashes into the sea. Sohei, a bit of a putz in his everyday life, is extremely cool under pressure and helps to save the lives of numerous passengers, even ensuring that he is rescued last and saving the life of an elderly man and his daughter. Of course, this means he now qualifies to have a polygamous marriage. But what does that mean for him and his girlfriend? How will things work out? And who would want to marry a boring office man such as himself? I adore this series. The concept is interesting and the execution is well done. The characters are all realistic and feel human, despite being in a weird situation. This series is complete and only 42 chapters, so you can read it in an afternoon if you want. A story about smoking at the back of the supermarket comes out officially tomorrow. Well, Volume 1 does at least. Volumes 2 and 3 will be coming out later this year. When I first read this series, I was blown away at how subtle and beautiful it was. The art is fantastic, the characters are so real they jump off the page, and the joy they bring to each other is palpable. Every chapter, you are rooting for them to be happy. So, I did some digging. Turns out, I wasn't the only one who thought this series was amazing. It won numerous awards. The series is about an overworked salaryman who only gets joy from smoking and from the smile of Yamada, the friendly and beautiful cashier at the convenience store by his house. He's not crushing on her or creeping on her or anything. He just feels his fatigue and stress wash away when he sees her smile. It's not romantic. To Sasaki, our overworked salaryman, Yamada's smile is like watching the sun rise after a stormy night. One day, she's not there. No big deal, he knows she can't be there all the time, he'll just go outside to smoke. But there's no smoking allowed out front anymore. Fortunately, another employee sees him and waves him back. The two go behind the store and smoke together. Sasaki is taken aback by her appearance. Lots of earrings, a choker, leather jacket, and she happily teases poor Sasaki. And then she goes in for the kill. She asks Sasaki why he always goes to Yamada's counter. I mean, it's a good choice. She's cute, has big boobs, but no boyfriend. Sasaki vehemently denies it. Yes, he's a weird old man who always goes to her counter, but it's because he finds her soothing. In fact, she's the only thing that makes him happy these days. She understands and tells him he's one of the good ones. The next day, Sasaki is thinking over his encounter with the strange employee. She shouldn't be teasing a man old enough to be her dad, but she did let him smoke behind the store, so she must be a good kid. Yamada lets Sasaki know that Tayama told her about him. It makes her happy to know that he's a fan of hers. Sasaki is mortified. He blushes to his ears, can't keep hold of his card, can't even respond to Yamada. The best part about this series is that Yamada is Tayama. It's a kanji pun. The series goes on and we meet new characters, but the core of it is Sasaki opening up to Tayama while still worshipping Yamada and not realizing she's the same person. Oh, I also mentioned how gorgeous the art is. I know that Chapter 1 was a little rough. Let me show you what the series looks like now. See? Beautiful. Again, Volume 1 of the series comes out on February 20th. Order yourself a copy. I promise you won't regret it. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Damon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Danny, Muffins, Marcus, Squishy, Brett, Roxy, Sean, Pob Zombie, Mark, Borgi, Nazwin, Pedro, Tom, Midge, Detroff, Rally, Frank, Alix, Jenny, Alex, and Julio. You guys are awesome. I post anime or manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.